Stan Wawrinka was born on March 28, 1985, in Lausanne, Switzerland, to parents Willy and Isabella Wawrinka. He grew up with a passion for sports, initially trying his hand at several disciplines, including basketball and skiing. However, it was tennis that ultimately captured his heart. Wawrinka's first exposure to the sport came at the age of 8 when he started playing at a local tennis club. Wawrinka's early tennis career was nurtured by his parents, who provided him with the opportunity to train at local clubs, and it wasn't long before he was showing significant promise. By the time he was in his teens, he had established himself as a rising talent in Switzerland, a country already home to another tennis great, Roger Federer. Despite the presence of Federer, who was dominating the sport during the early 2000s, Wawrinka remained focused on his own growth and development. Wawrinka's journey was not without its challenges, and he faced obstacles as he sought to turn professional. He made the transition to the senior circuit at the age of 17, competing in smaller ATP events as he worked his way through the ranks. Despite showing potential, it wasn't until the mid-2000s that Wawrinka began to make a noticeable impact on the ATP Tour. Breaking through, early career and first titles. Wawrinka's early professional years were a mix of learning and occasional success. He began to find his footing in 2003, making his ATP Tour debut and progressively earning better results on the Challenger circuit. His first breakthrough moment came in 2006, when he reached the third round of the French Open, showing that he could compete at the highest levels of the game. Despite showing flashes of brilliance, Wawrinka was often overshadowed by his more established compatriot, Federer. It was clear, however, that Wawrinka possessed a powerful game and a tenacious spirit. His athleticism, combined with an aggressive style of play, began to earn him recognition as a player to watch. In 2008, he won his first ATP singles title at the St. Petersburg Open, signaling the start of a successful career. That same year, he also achieved a career-high ranking of number 9 in the world. Wawrinka continued to show improvement in the following years, but he still lacked consistency at the very top levels of the sport. Despite this, he consistently competed against the best players in the world and began to earn more notable wins, often against top-ranked opponents. His powerful one-handed backhand and aggressive approach made him a dangerous player on any surface, and his ability to execute under pressure began to draw attention. Career peak, rise to the top. The period from 2014 to 2016 marked the peak of Wawrinka's career, where he achieved his greatest successes. The turning point for Wawrinka came in 2014, when he won the Australian Open, defeating Rafael Nadal in the final. This victory was a stunning upset, as Wawrinka had never before defeated Nadal in a Grand Slam match. His 6-3, 6-2, 3-6, 6-3 win over Nadal was a showcase of his aggressive baseline dominant style, with his backhand, in particular, proving to be a decisive weapon. Wawrinka's victory at the Australian Open propelled him into the upper echelons of the men's game. His confidence soared, and he continued to perform consistently well in the following months, taking his game to new heights. In 2014, he also reached the French Open quarterfinals and secured a top 5 ranking, making him a regular fixture at the top of the ATP leaderboard. In 2015, Wawrinka continued his fine form, winning his second Grand Slam title at the French Open. He defeated Novak Djokovic in the final, 4-6, 6-4, 6-3, 6-4, in what was an emotionally charged match. This victory was significant for several reasons. It solidified Wawrinka's position as one of the best players in the world, and it also marked the end of Djokovic's dominance in the men's game at that time. Wawrinka's performance in Paris was a testament to his resilience and his ability to perform under pressure, as he defeated multiple top players throughout the tournament. The French Open victory was followed by another Grand Slam triumph at the US Open in 2016, where he claimed his third major title by defeating Djokovic in 4 sets, 6-7, 6-4, 7-5, 6-3. This victory was especially impressive because Wawrinka had to overcome significant physical challenges throughout the tournament. His victory was also notable for the way he handled high-pressure moments, keeping his composure when it mattered most. Grand Slam glory and consistency. Wawrinka's success on the Grand Slam stage continued in the later stages of his career, and by 2016, he had firmly established himself as one of the top players in the world. His career had now been defined by 3 major titles. the Australian Open, French Open, and US Open. One of the defining features of Wawrinka's success during this period was his ability to produce his best tennis in the biggest moments. He was never afraid of the pressure of a Grand Slam final and often rose to the occasion against the game's best players. His aggressive baseline play, one of the most powerful and lethal in the game, helped him to outclass his opponents in critical moments. Wawrinka's play during this period also cemented his status as one of the most feared players in men's tennis. His victories over top-ranked players like Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, and Rafael Nadal highlighted his ability to compete with the best, and his consistency in the major tournaments established him as a true force on the ATP Tour. Struggles and injuries, the later years. However, after his triumphs in 2016, Wawrinka's career began to encounter difficulties. His next few years were marked by injuries and inconsistent form. In 2017, he faced persistent knee problems, and the following year, he underwent surgery. Wawrinka was sidelined for a significant portion of 2018, and upon his return, he struggled to regain his former level of play. In 2018, Wawrinka's rankings plummeted, and he found himself outside the top 100 for the first time in years. His ability to compete at the highest level was compromised by his injuries, and for the first time in a long while, it seemed uncertain whether he would return to the peak of his career. However, his resilience and determination shone through as he continued to fight back from his setbacks. By 2019, Wawrinka had made a partial recovery, and his play began to show signs of the old brilliance that had earned him 3 Grand Slam titles. He reached the French Open quarterfinals and was back to competing in the later rounds of major tournaments. While he may not have reached the same level as his peak years, his ability to contend with top players in the sport remained. Legacy and final years. As of 2023, Wawrinka's legacy in tennis is firmly established. He is remembered for his powerful, aggressive style of play and his fearless attitude in the biggest matches. His contributions to the sport, particularly his 3 Grand Slam singles titles, solidified his place in the history of the game. His remarkable ability to deliver his best tennis under pressure and defeat some of the greatest players of all time will be a defining feature of his career. Though Wawrinka's later years were hampered by injuries, his impact on the sport cannot be overstated. He may not have been the most consistent player on the ATP Tour, but his 3 Grand Slam titles and his ability to perform when it mattered most ensure that his legacy as one of the greats of the sport will endure. Beyond his on-court achievements, Wawrinka's sportsmanship and professionalism have earned him the respect of his peers. He has been a key figure in Swiss tennis, contributing to the success of his nation on the ATP Tour alongside Roger Federer and later, Belinda Bencic and Timea Baksinski in women's tennis. Conclusion. Stan Wawrinka's career will be remembered for his resilience, powerful game, and exceptional mental toughness. He remains one of the most respected figures in tennis and continues to inspire aspiring players across the world with his story of perseverance. His Grand Slam achievements and his ability to rise to the occasion during the sport's biggest moments have secured his place as one of the most iconic players of his generation.